HMO Sobbies, it's the Trickster. Welcome to another edition of 30 with Tony. Hey, you check out all of this drone stuff. What the hell is the matter with that non-compass metastope in the White House? Anyway, if it were me, I would blow the garbage out of the ski even if I had to get that dumb Greek agnew to help me with his slingshot. But back to the show. We got the best news, the bossest music, and the greatest classic clips. So let's get down the river, Chemo Subbies.
Well, hi, Kemosabi's. It's Tony D'Angelo. It is December 19th, 2024, 3 p.m. Eastern, on a Dominion, the year of our Lord, and welcome to another edition of 30 with Tony. Thank you so much for all of your encouragement and your support and your sharing of the show. Thanks to our music contributors. Thanks to all our friends. I believe we're making a difference. And doesn't that really get to the nub of what we're supposed to be doing in this life? As far as I'm concerned, it's helping others and making a difference and helping others not get hurt by ignorance, by stupidity, by corruption, by ugliness, by bureaucracy. That's my purpose. You know, it's, I think on the Lee Elsey show a couple of weeks back, I don't think I know, the question was asked, what if Almighty God came to you and said, you know, when all this is over, what is the one word that defines you? And think about that. Think about that in terms of, you know, your own life and what you believe your life to be. And for me, it would be helping as many people as I can, albeit sometimes to my own detriment, but I'm going to ask for God's wisdom and grace, and I'm going to keep helping people, and I'm going to keep showing as best as I possibly can with what is given to me, what is up, what is down, what is right, what is wrong, because so much of what we get in the national media and the corporate media, and especially in a state like Connecticut, where millions of dollars, we've been covering this on the Lee Elsey show, millions of dollars are spent to tell a narrative not the truth, but a narrative they want for you to believe. Now, I mean, that's disgusting. That is beyond disgusting. That's hurtful, that's insulting, and that's horrible. But, where are our wonderful elected officials crying out against it? No, 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 Kemosabe. They're playing to the cameras. They want to be a part of that good presentation. I can't find any one of them that is willing to come out and call this mess for what it is. I will. I'll tell you exactly what it is. Some others will tell you exactly what it is, but they won't. And I mean, how do you stop something like that? A lot of discussions happen on Twitter, and a lot of them are good discussions. A lot of them I think are, but what I caution everybody to do is when you get a piece of information, look at it, analyze it, hold it up to the light, and ask if it's ready, ask if it could be produced, ask if it has what I like to call a standard of evidence. A lot of stuff goes back and forth, and people, will say these things, well, A to B to C to D, so it's obviously E, and they can't prove it. They cannot make a simple proof that, somebody like me could understand and call me your average American or your average person. Now, I'm not saying what they're saying is untrue, but what I am saying is it's not yet ready for prime time, and a lot of stuff out there is spouted, and you really have to put it up to a microscope to see if that's really what's happening. But that all said, when you come down to information, you've got this whole mega industrial complex to tell you what they want for you to know. And I want to tell you what I believe is the truth. So a lot of good discussions happen on Twitter. And one of the discussions always is, well, how do we change the media? I say, you're not going to change it. Don't even bother. Don't waste one iota in trying to quote unquote get them to see things your way or get them to see things the right way. You ain't paying the freight for that. You ain't providing the economics for that. You are just a good, decent person who wants to see truth done. And they don't care about you. They really don't care about you. So how do you deal with that media? Well, you starve them out. You don't watch them. You don't buy from their advertisers. You humiliate them as much as you possibly can, not violently. Okay? I got to keep cautioning that, not violently. In a state like Connecticut, as the Maisano issue will tell you in Guilford, do not even make an inference that could be misinterpreted as violence. Oh yeah, you'll eventually win your case, and maybe you'll go back and be able to, sue the other people and things like that. But you've got to do it in such a way where you humiliate them, but you humiliate them on fact, not violence, because they can't stop you there. And that's where you have to come again, and again. Tell your friends, tell your people on social media, tell the people in your social circle. Look at it this way. If nobody supports state-run media or state-operated media, the advertisers ain't going to advertise on it. So what happens? It's eventually going to get starved out. Well, maybe not. Maybe not, because you'll get enough gas bags in the Connecticut state legislature saying that we need local television and we need to support it. And they'll try to figure out some kind of way to get money to feed you lies. Now, I'm not saying every single thing on state television or national media is a lie. I am saying that you have to pick and choose. But yeah, you don't try to change it. Don't try to change it. Let it die its own death. Let it whimper to its own end. And what's happening now, and I maintain this and I continue to maintain it, there ain't no media right now other than you and me. They ain't the media. They're corporate spokespeople. They are telling you what they are being told to tell you, or what the politicians want to tell you, or what the lobbyists want to tell the politicians, and how all that manufactures. I mean, search for honest information. What I try to do is I try to put together 2 pieces or 3 pieces from varying sources that may not be entirely correct, but when you do that, you can develop a sense of what's absolutely positively happening. And, it's people who are out there just spouting theories and people who are out there that are making conclusions and things like that based upon, what I call it opinion. I call it in many cases unsupported opinion. Are doing you no favors. They're doing me no favors. And they're so committed to their beliefs that they get very angry with you if you're not seeing things exactly the way that they are. And as far as I'm concerned, they have an equal right, like me, to speak up. They can go ahead and they can get their rear end on radio or television. They can have their own show, put together the time and expense and the logistics that I have put here that I continually work on to improve. They can do that. Nothing stops them from doing that, but yet they get angry at me for not doing exactly what they want to do. That's like, it's and a couple of them have given me good things to go on. And I'm just very sorry that they're not doing that anymore, because they've just decided that they hate my guts for whatever reason. Man, I don't know. And to a large extent, I really don't care. I mean, like for you to like me, but I can only do my best. But anyway, I don't know how I started with that, but to say all that to say this, one of the things that the lying political and media dogs, that's an insult to dogs. I have a dog. I love dogs. But dog in the worst possible sense, don't want you to know in Connecticut is this is a failed, crumbling, overly bureaucratic, quasi-communistic, twisted state of no economy, no vision, certainly no leadership, certainly no authority, certainly no competency largely. It's not saying that everybody in the government is incompetent, but more people and more operations operating in the state of Connecticut are incompetent as opposed to competent. The bureaucracy is crippling. The bureaucracy is poisoned by its own efficiency. We are supposed to respect the bureaucracy, and we're not supposed to criticize the bureaucracy. We are not supposed to criticize the Department of Health. We are not supposed to criticize the unions. We are not supposed to criticize these humble middle-class public servants that, basically can kind of buy us and sell us and leave us on the road for dirt financially. Look at it this way. And I'm not saying that every person in state government's whatever, use that same term, dog. There are good people, and I talk to them, and they're frustrated good people because they would like to see change. And I understand that. My heart continually goes out to them. But that all said, if you're going to retire in 20 years or something like that, there is something known as present value. What is present value? Present value is just what it is. What is something worth today? And the value of $1, this is a lesson that's completely lost on both houses of our legislature and our fiscally incompetent controller, Sean Scanlon. $1 is not worth any more than it is right now. Your dollar will never be worth what it is tomorrow as opposed to today. So if I'm going to separate you from service, and let's just say you're a relatively young person, and I'm going to give you a very high percentage of your salary for the balance of your life, which the balance of your life more than likely is going to be greater than the amount of years that you spent in state service. The present value of what you're going to receive over time is far greater than what somebody leaving, say, a business job or an executive job might be, because the value of that going forward is, in many ways, can't really be calculated, but what you'll receive every year is going to be enough to live comfortably. So that's worth a lot more than having a pot of money and having to dole it out every single year. It is a very lucrative source of funds. So that all said, the the present value of something is very, very, very valuable, valuable for lack of a better term. So when it comes to operations in this state, when it comes to fixing the problems in this state, the how do I even begin on this? The money tree is so important to so many people that they won't fix it because it would impact their money tree. I think it was economist Red Janke, I'm pretty sure it was him, who said that in this state, a third of the people are receiving some funding from the state of Connecticut, either employment or welfare or business grant or business loan. That's bad. That's absolutely positively bad because that means that whoever is funding that at the expense of those that are paying it will never, ever, ever, ever find their way out of power. And that's not economics. That's not growth. That's not governance. That is a welfare state. You got that? And that's what we are, a failed welfare state, overly bureaucratic, inept, cowardly, non-courageous, and afraid to hit the very things that need to be throttled so that the state can work in any reasonable fashion. Now, we looked at immigration last week. We're going to look at something else today. We're going to look at hunger. And the thing is, guess what? We all get hungry. We all need food. We listen to a lot of stupidity over the past 4 years about, there's no such thing as a mother. It's a birthing person. And we had our fat slob Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, saying that it's okay to put biological males playing with young ladies and hurt them, and that kind of thing. I'm waiting for the day. When some character wants to come and play women's basketball in a wig. I'm waiting for that. Why doesn't that happen? I mean, what's the difference? Why isn't that welcomed in the state of Connecticut? Why? It's no different than all this other stuff they try to jam down our throats. But that's another show for another time. But that all said, it's you're a lion dog phony if you don't agree with me. Like you have to laugh, like with all these goofy elected officials like Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, and AOC saying, with the murder of the healthcare executive from United Healthcare, it's like, it's you push people and this is what they do. It's understandable. However, January 6th, insurrectionists, you got to lock them up. You got to spear them. You got to kill them. Phony gasbag idiots. You get what's happening here. But that all said, we have a hunger problem in this state. People are hungry. And people are hungry because there's little economic opportunity. There is a moronic energy policy, which is let's just have wind and electric cars and electric buses and all this other kind of stuff. And you'll never hear Republicans yelling, this is idiotic, this is insane. It needs to be broken down. It needs to be throttled. Right now, we need to have cheap energy in this state to make the state work. And we'll get into that in a little bit. And we also have too many, I'm not going to say the word, GD bureaucracies that are sucking money, are sucking resources, and not providing any value. Look at it this way. Object of food. Okay, here's a little container, little mint container. This is an object of food. I'm hungry. Nothing separates that from, getting into my mouth and getting into my stomach. But except if you're in a place like Connecticut, there's 13 bureaucracies. There's 57 analyses. There's 37 logistical whatevers. And that's a large part of the impediment, but we're going to get to this. And this hurts me because I am a man from very humble underpinnings. I think you know that. And one of the things that, my mother instilled upon me was that no one should ever go hungry. Never deny a meal to anybody. There should be some food for you. You should have a warm place to stay. And you are a phony if you're not providing for that and you're not looking for a way to do that in the most efficient way possible. You're a phony. You're an idiot, basically. You will collect your salary pontificating about what's not happening out there, but you won't cut your salary. You won't look for ways to trim your bureaucracy or your little fiefdom to deliver more service. You won't do that, because that's more important. We need to sustain ourselves going forward. I mean, you can get by with, instead of 6 people, maybe 1 computer, things like, you don't look at things like that, but that's kind of in a general sense of observation of what I've seen through the years. But I want to show you something. If this state presided over by the Democrat Party, the inept and sometimes inane Republican Party, offering little to no opposition, and King Governor Ned Lamont, the unaccountable, is, quote unquote, coming back from what? Why are people hungry? Why are people cold? Why are people on an economic train going nowhere to happen? I mean, the rules are very simple. Of course, the idiots screwed them up. You go to school. You're supposed to go to a school to learn something, not to learn about gender stuff, not to learn about white people are evil, not to watch men in dresses, but you're supposed to go to learn marketable things: reading, writing, mathematics, science, social studies, history, shop if you're inclined to shop, physical education, taking care of your body. It's going to be with you for your entire life. And that's why you go to school. And from there, you go to another level of school where you could be trained for a job or a profession. That's the way it's supposed to be. Or you go into the military service. So when you get out of that, you are a productive member of society and you can help and produce for others. Now, Connecticut, you've got little to nothing of that. I mean, you've got majors in UConn that basically right now are being starved out because they are ridiculous. They have no marketability. I don't know what you're going to do with like a gender studies major. I mean, you can't, open up a gender studies store. I really don't know. I mean, they used to say that about, getting a business administration degree, but at least you learn something about organization and management. And from there, you can choose the place where you wanted to go and work your way up. And people actually owned things, and people actually took care of things, and people, kept their nose clean, as my father would say. But that all said, you have this mess, you have this inept, garbagey mess, and people are hungry. And not only that, but we've got, uncontrolled illegal immigration. We've got people in the state of Connecticut, in the government and in the cities and in the nonprofits who, will defend the rights of illegal migrant aliens and will do everything they can not to comply with federal law and to obfuscate it and to do twisted things. We looked at that last week. But, that's okay. You're paying for that, people. You're paying for that. And that's all going to be just fine. But they are well paid and you're paying for them too. And it is when you see that happening, people are going to be hungry because there's only so much production you can have. And if you're just inviting people in to quote unquote be a welcoming city, well, you're not going to have 50 people over for lunch tomorrow. You can't feed them. You don't have enough silverware. You don't have enough food. You don't have enough places to seat them. But yet this is okay. This is what people want to do. And this is the stupidity of where we're at. So guess what? People are hungry. People can't eat. And of course, if they had employment, of course, if it were a positively charged economic environment, they could make their own way. They can save their own money. They can find their own way. They could learn things to make them more productive and more profitable. But we don't see any of that. I mean, you're not going to get anybody to come into Connecticut, basically, and do anything meaningful. I mean, the reputation's one thing. And here I am. And I have to say to myself, well, it's like I get a lot of, D'Angelo, you're always talking down Connecticut. Well, I have to tell the truth. I have to tell the truth when nobody else is, or very few people are. And when somebody looks at that, because people watch me from wherever, it's like, well, he's talking about the illegal migrants in New Haven, and it's a welcoming city. And the Attorney General, William Tong, is off on the rights of protecting them, and is the police chief of New Haven is doing whatever he can to hide them and back channel them. His words, not mine. And the tax system is awful, and the governor's entirely unaccountable. And there's nothing there positively. The schools, the cities are a wreck. Fiscally, we're a mess. The deficits are huge. The state-run media covers for the elected officials, elected cough spit, draw your own conclusions. But it's like they're not coming. They're not going to come to provide anything valuable because we're not doing anything valuable. We're just persisting in the same stupidities, hoping that change will come. I don't even know if it's hoping. I think it's just delusionality. I know that's not a word. But let me show you something. People are starving. Why does Connecticut starve? Why does Connecticut starve? Let's do a little screen share if you don't mind. This is something I had hoped to cover on the Lee Elsey show a couple of weeks back, but we didn't get down that far. The 40% of Connecticut struggles to make ends meet. Now, this is a study, if you will. Any study you take with a grain of salt. You got to look at who's funding it. You got to look at where the money's coming from. You've got to look at what you really think is happening as opposed to what they are saying is happening and what's actually happening. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to agree with that much. The article is Ms. Allison Cross. It was published on December 3rd, the newspaper Hartford Courant. Now, the financial challenges for Connecticut families. Now, they use the term food insecurity. And I just want to define something here, if I may. What exactly is food insecurity? Now, food insecurity is different things to different people. To me, I think a better definition would be go hungry, because I can, and this has happened to me. I've had good times and I've had lean times as an adult, as a person living where I am, as a person married to Kathleen D'Angelo. And we would make decisions such as, well, we can't really do the salmon and the shrimp this week. We will do rice, beans, and vegetables. We will do pasta. We will do basic necessities, maybe peanut butter and things like that. Now, that to me is being frugal, and being, shall I say, judicious with my resources, working for something better to happen. But some people will call that food insecure, if in using that definition, because they can't get what they think they really need. Now, all the things I mentioned, I would like them, but do I really need them? Well, no. Can I argue that they are better for me than the other things? Well, you can talk about that till you're blue in the face. But in my definition, that is not food insecure. But let's look to see what they define with this outfit, Data Haven, they are number crunchers. And this is a nonprofit which makes analysis of things. A lot of people making analyses in Connecticut. A lot of people doing reports. A lot of people doing things to hand to people like Ms. Cross so that they could do a story. But they can do whatever they want as far as I'm concerned. I just don't want my tax money going to support that. If I choose not to turn on channel 8 or channel 3 because I think what they're doing is garbage, that's my choice, but I'm not supporting it. So they've got to figure out how they're going to get their own economics. I'm not buying from their advertiser. I'm not following what they say to do for a particular thing. So, that's my choice. But yet, if state money goes into something like a Data Haven or a Connecticut School Finance Project or something else like that, where people can make analyses of things, that's an issue and that's a problem. And that often gets, masked and obfuscated because it doesn't come directly from the state treasury. The state treasury will fund some sort of a, quasi-public or, nonprofit or something, and the money gets that way. I'm not saying that to pick at Data Haven, but I am saying that this is an issue in Connecticut because we don't need state money going to number crunchers to tell us what they think. We should be able to get to what we think because there's enough information out there available and we can draw our own conclusion. But let's just take this right now for where it's worth and what it's worth. I've given you my definition of food insecurity. Now, Data Haven has a definition, and they call it as the share of participants reporting that at some point in the past 12 months, they were unable to buy food they needed. Now, what does that exactly mean? Now again, I'm on board with this. People in Connecticut are hungry, but I need food. I need a steak tonight. I need a porterhouse. I need a filet mignon. I don't have filet mignon money on me. Does that make me food insecure? These are things in these studies. What exactly does that happen? What does that mean? What does that really quantify to? What are they telling us? How is it manipulated? But when you look at that, let's take these people at face value. Food they needed is they don't have enough for dinner tonight, enough food, enough whatever you want to call it, not expensive food, but enough staple food because it's a problem. I started and continue to, our firm continues to represent a food bank in Putnam, Interfaith Human Services of Putnam. I was one of the founding board members of that. And it is a great charity. It is 100% volunteer. It travels on dedication, care for one another, and miracles, basically. But people are very hungry. I mean, it's I go to the market. I go to the market in Putnam, and I'm buying these $10 gift bags that will go over to Interface so people can have something to eat. I'll use that definition, but I do want you to be a more astute consumer of what people are handing you. And that to me is important. But let's get to the matter at hand. 2 out of 5 adults in the state say they're just getting by or finding it difficult to manage financially. And does that tell you there's a problem? 18% of residents reported that over the last year, they did not have enough money to buy food themselves or their families, and 12 said they couldn't provide 12% adequate shelter or housing. Now, I'm going to accept the fact that this is a problem in Connecticut. It is a problem because we are a state that is run by bureaucracies, bird brains, and bureaucrats who are doing fine themselves, but we're supporting them. We're not providing any kind of an economy. We're not providing any sort of an incentive. We're not providing any sort of a tax system that would be attractive, if you will, for people to come into. We're going entirely and completely the other way now. So when we have the earned income credit, and we have the some of the other things that we give to people, and other things that are in. Well, that's all great, but what about the guy who's making money and wants to save money and understands he needs to pay taxes, but wants to pay as little taxes? Is he going to come to here, or is he going to come to Florida, or is he going to go to somewhere like South Dakota, basically? And you will lose that productive person who is capable of producing other things and creating other jobs and spending more money to radiate the economy. You lose that. But then again, when you have a bureaucracy that's largely staffed by bureaucrats, politicians, numbskulls, Democrats, and idiots, you have what you have, and unfortunately, we do. Now, the Alice is a survey. I don't want to go through that really quickly. Let me just bear with me for a second. I do want to be accurate here. And let me just do this up here. The Alice report from the United Way of Connecticut. 39% of households could not afford the basic cost of living in their county. Okay, I'm with you. I've never disputed it. We have a problem. But why do we have the problem? Now, right now, you got a problem where people don't have enough to eat. And you've got a bunch of idiot bureaucrats and politicians in Hartford waving their hands, screaming, yelling, generating hot air, and not doing anything constructive with respect to this problem. See, it's the whole thing. If you have, and this is, to me, politicians and bureaucrats many times are the most brainless and heartless and unaccountable souls on earth. If I do something here and I spend a lot of time and I spend a lot of money and it's a failure, I ruminate that failure. It bothers me. It hurts me. It hurts what I do, because I'm thinking, what a waste of time, a waste of money, and maybe other than learning a couple of things, that's something I'll never be able to get back here again. But politician just shrugs his shoulders and says, well, okay. One of my friends was sharing with me the stories about the pier debacle in New London, and they keep doing stupidity after stupidity, mess after mess, non-accountability after non-accountability. But you talk to the people that are the head of this, and this is full steam ahead. This is really going to work. Well, of course, they're spending other people's money. So, it's like some of these characters never met a dollar that they couldn't spend, basically. And, you will continue to pay for their failure. So when that all kind of comes down to where it is, we have this problem, and the bureaucrat looks at it and says, well, we've got to do things in program. We've got to do things by changing things. We've got to do things by making things more affordable. We've got to make the systems work better. This is the kind of thinking that, as the Titanic is sinking, they're handing music sheets to the band and they're arranging the deck chairs. We have an epidemic. We need to do something quickly. We need to make this thing stop bleeding. Basically, that's what it is. Let's look at the non-solutions that were given. The data haven person says, well, This is kind of interesting because this is what I mean about information being polluted. Um, Food insecurity rates remain higher in cities and among Black and Latino populations. Recent immigrants from Puerto Rico, okay, should they be here or should they not? Persons with disabilities, formerly incarcerated adults, should they be incarcerated or not? And LGBTQ plus individuals report some of the highest levels of food insecurity, approaching 40%. There's also a pronounced gender gap, with women reporting higher rates of financial and food insecurity as compared to men. Now, that's a societal thing, unfortunately, because women oftentimes outlive men. And like your typical defined benefit pension plan under ERISA, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, that pension is compliant if it pays half to the survivor. That's been in the works for years and years and years. But that all said, why do we have to sexualize and racialize and whatever you want to call it, make hunger a social personality, race, LGBTQ issue? Everybody gets hungry, right? Everybody needs food. So what does that really have to do with anything whatsoever? If this particular subgroup is experiencing more than the other subgroup, there are other reasons. What are those other reasons? And so why is this, quote unquote, somebody reading this saying, well, this is a racial thing. White fat cats get enough to eat, but these people don't. That's the inference they want for you to believe, and it's sickening and it's wrong. As a Catholic nun told me many, many years ago, you feed hunger in silence. You don't bang a drum. This is banging a drum, and it's reprehensible and it's despicable. But leaving that aside, you're making a social cause out of hunger. Hunger is not a social cause. Hunger is people are hungry. And this guy comes out and says, Mr. Abraham from the Data Haven, actually, I think it's important to look at the issue holistically and think about how to make the state more affordable, basically for the middle class. Well, holistically, is holistically charging this with, race and gender and sex and things like that. Hunger is an issue. Let's stay away from the socioeconomico, political, religioso, probinistico, stupido analysis. That's the whole problem. People are hungry while people are analyzing with all this stuff. So this guy here is going to the wrong solution. Lawmakers can look at this data holistically and see and think about the effects that financial insecurity has on our states and how competitive it is. Well, Mr. Abraham, we're going to talk about something where really the lawmakers and the data is the problem and not the solution. So the Republicans come out and they make a statement called affordability, blaming Democrats, and talk about a couple of things. The special session that we didn't get on lowering energy costs and eliminate onerous taxes like the truck tax, which increases our grocery bills. What about our executive order governor, King Governor Ned Lamont, the unaccountable? Why doesn't he, seeing this emergency? Yes, this is an emergency. People are hungry. The Data Haven even told you that, right? Why doesn't our governor make an executive order about the elimination of the truck tax? Why doesn't our governor, King Governor Ned Lamont, the unaccountable, make an executive order like dealing with the public benefits charge on every? He can. Nothing stops him. Nothing stops him. Your stupid idiot politician of whatever party wants to tell you that you need a special session. You don't. The problem is they've got too many cronies in these places, and they don't want to make it look like, they're scarfing the turkey from outside of the and from inside the Christmas oven. That's basically the problem here that we're dealing with. But they don't want you to know that. And now the Republicans try to do tax policy. Whenever the Republicans in Connecticut try to do tax policy, as my father would say, I'd walk up to him and say, "Hey, Dad, I'm thinking." He'd look at me and say, "Tony, I smell wood burning." This is wood burning. Reduce the state income tax for the middle class, and would establish a $2,000 per child tax deduction, and double access to the $300 property tax credit. Okay. Well, let me read down here because there's too much meat here that I want to get to. Now, Martin Looney says we're going to do this regardless. We're declaring ourselves God here. We're going to take state money and fix this regardless of what you do. More programs, more idiots, more data, more whatever. And we're going to end up in the same place, only worse. But what you'll see is a bunch of Democrats, maybe even purple-haired Rosa DeLauro will come out standing in front of a box shelves of Ronzoni spaghetti, talking about why Republicans want to see the poor starve. Yeah, isn't this a great opportunity? And you'll pay for that too. But anyway, let's look at this. $2,000 per child tax deduction to $300 property tax credit. Hey guys, I got an idea. Why don't we just have a 3% flat income tax in Connecticut? Simple beans. This is your income. You want to make it gross income. You want to make it AGI. Get rid of all the deductions. Get rid of all the bells and whistles. Get rid of all the credits. Get rid of all the stupidity. Hike the rate up to a point where you can get all these people who you're now subsidizing off of the tax rolls, give them money that way. But, simple, attractive, cut the damn bureaucracy. If you can't eliminate, certainly thaw out or distill the bureaucracies like, the Department of Revenue Services. And see, that's a money machine. That's the problem. Or some of the others that are, and let's just make a simple tax rate. Now, go you one better. I've been talking about this for years and years and years, but you're never going to see it because it's going to effectively eliminate all this crap, all this nonsense, all this analysis, all this subsidy, all these bleeding hearts that want to come to you and tell you how rotten they are. You won't have a need for them. People are hungry. Okay, here's how you fix it. Here's how you fix this thing. You can fix it next legislative session. Now, the food banks, the people who are there, I'll give you a little bit of a history on that. Food banks in Connecticut, or shall we say, the food operation has turned into a salve, if you will, or a panacea for King Governor Ned Lamont the Unaccountable and his cronies. He started to politicize that right after COVID. Now, before that, food banks were food banks, and they were providing food, and they were taking donations, and they were administrating just fine. But basically, when the good people who ran these things started to retire, they were largely staffed. I know in the case of the Connecticut Food Bank, this certainly happened by, largely people that really weren't competent and really weren't capable. So that was a great kind of thing to sort of make this thing become an arm of the state. Now, basically, you've got a lot of food banks that aren't really tied to that. Yeah, they're getting some aid, and yeah, they're participating. They buy from Food Share and things like that, but they're not a part of the problem, if you will. They're a part of the solution. So, in this simple tax rate, okay, Republicans, you're listening. Why don't you just have a direct credit? Like, for example, like for me, I don't know what whatever the check is that I have to write, because I'm not withheld. If I receive something, I've got to take my taxes out of it, and hopefully I get to live on the rest and pay my bills and pay my people and. But why not have a direct credit for me, a check the box saying, of my $1,000 of taxes that I pay, I want $500 of that, pick some number, to go directly to a food bank of my choosing. And the state can go and make a deposit in that food bank's account, and they could buy food and they could buy it for people. They know who they're serving. They know in the community who's really in need. Their boots are on the ground, not some pontificating silly ass bureaucrat with no idea of anything. Plus, you got to pay the bureaucrat's salary. Plus, you got to pay somebody to do the analysis to tell you how poor and starving everybody is. I'm talking intravenous feeding. Get the money to the people and keep doing this. And I mean, you could get rid of incredible amounts of waste, stupidity, redundancy, pontificating, analysis, and all this other kind of stuff. You don't need it. People are hungry. My object here that I want to eat, I don't need 10,000 bureaucracies to stop me from eating it. It is the most inane thing. And, Republicans, it's not about tax credits. It's about a lower rate. It's about stop having the state agencies shake taxpayers down for no reason whatsoever, and to make things very simple and very friendly and very taxpayer friendly. But alas, you got buddies in these places, I guess. I don't know. But you're never going to grow the state, and you're never going to feed the hungry, and you're never going to do anything with any kind of building forward thing other than the mess that you're doing, and make it worse, because more people are going to look at this. Productive people will leave, and what will come is the unproductive, the person coming in, working under the table. After all, our attorney general says that's a good thing. We've got to encourage that. And, we're just going to have a fiscal collapse. A few bureaucrats will go with their pensions. Maybe it'll be people retire and they won't be able to get anything because the treasury's going to collapse. And, this is what we're going to have. I mean, this is where we're at. I'm going to stop the share if you don't mind. Actually, before I do that, let me just see. They talk about increasing the minimum wage. Democrats say it's a wonderful thing. Martin Looney says that. That's worthy of comment. I don't even know where to begin here, frankly. But I got a challenge to you. And I say this particularly to Republicans. Let's campaign for, even though you may not get anywhere, a zero-based minimum wage. No minimum wage. Let the market determine what the person receives. Now, if I don't want to work for whatever it is, I'm not going to work for that. The wage will have to rise naturally and automatically to a point where I decide it's worthy for me to go back to work. But basically, if you're going to burden me, small business person in Connecticut, with all the other stupidity and mess and nonsense that you burden me with, the PFML, the Sean Scanlon idiotic totally idiotic retirement plan, and, quote unquote, a minimum wage in state. Actually, nobody here makes anything that low, because whatever the market forces are, we respond to those market forces. And we even paid bonuses this year, basically. Not a lot of money, but we paid bonuses because economics in its own natural flow will far exceed what any stupid bureaucrat is going to do or any stupid legislator. But basically, things will, water will always seek its own level. But when you look at something like this, it's, this is a freeway heading the wrong way to disaster. And so you're going to hope you get money from Washington, and you've got Donald Trump, who basically is going to say, well, I'm not going to fund the sanctuary cities. Think of the food chains that's going to disturb. I mean, it's basically what it is. Do you think these people who are crying about the rights of illegal migrants are concerned about they don't give a hoot and holler, and they're thinking about themselves. This is their reason for being. So I'm going to stop the share. I said a lot, hopefully, and I hope a lot of that has stuck. But when you see garbage like this, these problems are very fixable. Hunger is a very fixable thing. You've got to remove bureaucracy. You've got to remove messes. You've got to remove redundancies. You've got to deal with the crisis as it is. The crisis needs leadership. The leader has the ability to sign executive orders as he did during COVID. Of course, it profited him, but you've got to do things like that, for that, with that, other than these stupid things that, are supposed to make us feel guilty. I am not LGBTQ. I'm not a person of color. I am not a woman. Thank God I believe we have enough food in the house. So I'm this evil person, and I am the problem because a bunch of bureaucrats are screwing everything up to continue to justify their own existence, and I've got to pay homage to them. Basically, this is what's happening, and I'm tired of it. I hope you're tired of it. I hope when people come to you and they say they're running for office and they want to do, you nail them. Not physically, okay? Don't hit them. Don't hit them. Don't ever use threatening language, but you nail them with policy. You nail them with these questions. You make it hurt so badly that they run from you. You don't want them running for office. You want them running away from you. You want them to cower for even think about doing such a stupid thing if what they're going to do is continue to perpetuate the problem. So angry, I'm just like spitting, and not the solution. And during this holiday season, because government has screwed up, political parties have screwed up, thought and innovation and creative ways of doing things and leadership and all that is entirely at I won't even say it's an all-time low. I think it's so low that you'd have to pipe sunshine to it. Take a few bucks and feed a hungry person, give something to a food bank, put something to someone that doesn't have what you do, and you will be blessed and they will be blessed. Because believe me, these people, the government, the systems, the pontificators, the data people and all that ain't going to help you and ain't going to help them. And we're finding that out now. I'm not anti-government. I am against stupid governments that take tax money and pay people well and pay them vacation days and pay their pensions and pay their sick days and really give nothing to little in return. So with that, I'm very thankful you watched today. Got a lot off my chest and hope that's getting you to think. I am interested in your feedback. It's Tony D'Angelo here on 30 with Tony. We'll be back with the rest of the show right after this.
No matter what you are, I will always be with you. Doesn't matter what you do, girl, ooh, girl, with you. No matter what you do, I will always be around. Won't you tell me what you found, girl, ooh, girl, won't you?
Hello fun seekers. Since we like to mix fun with business, please enjoy another video classic clip, courtesy of the producers of 30 with Tony.
Flying saucers have invaded our planet. Washington, London, Paris, Moscow are key targets. The whole world is under attack. Can it survive?
The survivors of a disintegrated solar system. At this moment, the remainder of our fleet is circling your globe.
What do you want with me?
Arrange for your world leaders to confer with us in the city of Washington.
They set up an electronic screen. The artillery doesn't penetrate.
Never before has the screen reached such heights of excitement. Breathtaking spectacle. Hair-raising terror. See the saucermen's high-frequency disintegrators. See flying saucers travel thousands of miles in seconds. See great cities leveled by flying saucer monsters.
Russ, look.
The same kind of thing that's watched us since the beginning of the project.
People of Earth, attention. People of Earth, attention. This is a voice speaking to you from thousands of miles beyond your planet.
They're coming down to take over. They made that clear to us in the saucer. To the best of our knowledge, my wife and I are the only ones left alive.
I can tell electric stories that will surely blow your mind. People find that I can tell electric stories very well. Stories of love. Stories of love. I knew a man. He had a girl who loved him more than he could stand. I don't know why it is a man prefers to love a girl who isn't his. You know it's true, but listen to me, girls, I'll tell you what to do. Punish them all. To keep your man, you drive him up the wall. I can tell electric stories that will surely blow your mind. People find that I can tell electric stories very well. Stories of love. Stories of love. Now this here girl, the one whose man left her to look around the world, she heard my storyline, took my advice, and all her love affairs were fine. Then came the day, the man she loved returned to take her breath away. She made him cry, she made him beg her, then she said goodbye. I can tell electric stories that will surely blow your
Well, thanks, Kemasabis. Thanks for staying with us. And to give you a little bit of a take into next week, we will not have a Thursday show next week. We will have a Christmas Day show. It'll be at 3 o'clock, and that's really one of our best watched shows. A lot of people just enjoy it. They love sitting around and, talking about how much they hate me and how stupid I look, but we're providing good quality entertainment and fun regardless of what day it is. And really it's a day that there's people at home, there's people alone, and if we can give them some little bit of cheer, we're very happy to do that. So next week we will have a Christmas Day show, and then we'll replay that show the day after Christmas in our usual 3 p.m. slot on X, Twitter, and on YouTube. But I've got some wintertime jokes for you. These are a little bit cleaner than the ones I had out the last time. Why didn't the whistleblower go outside during the winter? He was Snowden. Why didn't the snowman say, what did the snowman say after losing his arm? I'm never playing fetch again. Why did Dad stop using his loyalty card to scrape ice from his windshield? He only got 10% off. What do you call an old snowman? Water. What do you call a jerk who doesn't know when to quit? Me. It's Tony D'Angelo here at 30 with Tony. Thanks, Kemasabis. Thanks for being with us. Look for us on Christmas Day. God bless you. Be safe. Be well. I love you. So long.